Hi, folks. My name is Kalu Aja. Welcome to my podcast, The Way I See It. I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Hi, folks. Welcome to The Way I See It, which is my podcast on all things money, the economy, and personal finance, right? And sometimes we do talk about the economy, like this episode, right? So I'm reading this article by the Cable newspaper, this Nigerian paper. It's by Simon Kolawole. It was done August the 20th, 2022. It's an absolutely crazy story about the Mambilla hydropower project. I mean, this is like a movie. Let me just try to explain to you what's going on. So way back in May 2003, Dr. Olu Agunloye, who was then the Minister of Power and Steel, right, apparently went to the meeting, the Federal Executive Council meeting, and presented a proposal to the committee, right, that he wants to award a contract to build the Mambilla hydropower project to a company called Sunrise Power and Transmission Limited. So we're just going to call it Sunrise going forward. And this company, of course, owned by Chief Leno Adesanya, right? I mean, the Mambilla Dam is being, Nigeria wants to dam the Mambilla. We're looking at about nearly 4,000 megawatts if we do it. So this is a good project, right? But when he presented the proposal, as Simon writes it, the president then, President Olusegun Obasanjo, told him, listen, this thing can't fly. I guess the paperwork wasn't really up to date. And Obasanjo's point was, listen, let's not start something that would put us in the same situation like we had the steel industry. So go get your paperwork correct. And if possible, let the private sector run it. And I think this was also from the article. The VP then, Atiku, also said, yes, let's see if we can get zero participation from the government. Let it be wholly private sector driven and all that. This was what they told the minister, Agunloye, at the Federal Executive Council. But what happened? The next day, right, Agunloye wrote to Sunrise and told the company that he was pleased to convey the approval of the Nigerian government to give them this contract for 6 billion to build this dam. So he wrote an official letter, this was Agunloye, to this company that the government of Nigeria had given them $6 billion contract to build a dam. This was like a week to the exit of this minister, and they got a contract of 6 billion. Great. The company accepted the offer and all that, and Obasanjo, of course, left office. And the new minister, this was Leah Lumoki, I believe, was written. They wrote to the minister and said, hey, we are the guys that to build this dam. And of course, Leah wrote back to them and said, you were never engaged to build the dam and all that. There's an open bidding process and you should tender if you want to build a dam. And the argument, as I read this from Sunrise, is listen, we don't need FEC approval to build a dam, that we have an official letter from a minister of the government, and the minister represents Nigeria. Hence, we have the contract, hence, we can go ahead and build. And if we don't build, we are going to sue. Interesting. So this is essentially what has happened, right? They then started to sue. And all this while, all the ministers after Leo has also written to FEC and said, these guys don't have a contract. These guys, I mean Sunrise, these guys don't have a contract, right? So we should not even consider them as having a party to whatever contract or whatever discussion we're having. But Sunrise went to court in June 2007, right? And basically are claiming for $960 million for breach of contract, essentially saying that, listen, they had spent money to do designs and consultation, and they wanted their money back because, according to them, they had a letter, they had a contract, they had done work, and they wanted their money back. $960 million. Well, fast forward even to Goodluck Jonathan's time, no one actually paid any attention to them. But the matter was still, should we say, running in court. Right up to Fashola, Mr. Vatide Fashola, who was the Minister of Power. They had got an agreement really to build that dam, and they had a JV and all. But still, China's Exim Bank had come in to fund that dam. but still Sunrise claim was still out there. And of course, it's a contingent liability on the project. So listen, they were like, hey, what's going on with you guys? So let's do arbitration. And in arbitration, Sunrise was asking for $2.3 billion. 2.3 billion. This is again, I got the contract 6 days to the end of the government for 6 billion. Now asking for compensation of $2.3 billion. In unbelievable, guys. And then, oh my God, right? So if you pay us this, we'll essentially end our legal challenge. And I mean, this is what we're basically asking for. I mean, from the article, Simon writes, CAC, the filing for Sunrise, they were incorporated with $1 million and they had no turnover. They had not done any project in the power sector. But here they are asking for 2.3 billion in compensation. So this thing kept on floating around till it gets to Mr. Abubakar Malami, the present Attorney General of the Federation. Give and take, he writes a letter to the government basically saying, hey, let's accommodate Sunrise, right? And when he writes, this is where it gets interesting. He writes a letter and saying, these guys, we should accommodate them. Then he withdraws the letter and says, hey, I wasn't previously briefed and all that. But why it gets very interesting, right? Malami, yeah, he then proposes a settlement to pay off Sunrise in March of 2022, right? And what he's essentially saying is that the federal government, that's Nigeria, that's you and I, should pay Sunrise $200 million within 14 days as AIE to settle them. And if we fail to pay them $200 million in 14 days, we should pay them another $200 million fine, making it about $400 million in total. This is to settle the claim in 2003, given to them 6 days before the minister was told at the FEC meeting that there was no contract. And they even put in the contract, according to Simon, that if Nigeria does not pay Sunrise, Sunrise should take Nigeria to the International Criminal Court, the ICC. Yeah, guys, you heard that right, ICC. Unbelievable. I mean, where do you start from? I read this, right? And I was angry and I just started to laugh because you can see what's going on here. You can clearly see what's going on here. And this then, you take your mind back to the Paris Club that's been banded around, how we are paying consultants millions of dollars over an agreement that had already been effected by Switzerland to send money back to Nigeria, looted funds back. But somehow we are paying consultants to get what Switzerland had already agreed to do. Millions of dollars. Unbelievable. So this is what's going on in Nigeria, really. And this is the Attorney General of the Federation doing this. I mean, it's in the papers. He's been quoted with dates. Is he going to sue them? Is this libel? How can he write that we should settle a company that had no contract? All they had was a letter from a minister that was told at the FEC that there was no way we could sign with them. He has only a letter. We should pay him $400 million. Well, Buhari already told him that we have no 200 million or so to pay the company. So this is where it stops. I mean, it's just, this boggles the mind. This basically ticks the box for me on the incompetence of this guy, i.e. Malami. And I think he is a threat right down the way out. But why is he still there? If he can write such a memo, if your lawyer wrote you a settlement on this case and said, pay a guy $400 million that had no contract with your firm, would you still go back to that lawyer? I don't know, guys. This thing stinks, and I hope we do the right thing. All right, guys, just wanted to drop that out there. I think it's just crazy what we read about sometimes, right? And I just hope we can move past it and get really competent folks that can watch out for Nigeria's back. This is really not, this is not it. And we shouldn't be entertaining stuff like this, especially in a time when Nigeria has no money, really. I mean, we're not being literal here. All right, guys, I'll see you all next time. Enjoy your week. Have a good one, and bye.